What is up, RotoGrinders? Happy Friday. Right now, 2 hours of non-stop MLB DFS conversation starts. It is an intimate show, just the two of us, myself and Tim, Tasteful Tides, 12-gamer, big boy slate, not messing around. This is my last show of the end of the first half. Of course, All-Star break right around the corner, kicking in on Monday. Tim, you're probably working on the weekends. You tend to be working with Britt and probably working some series as well, so you know, you're not mailing it in just yet. Maybe on Sunday you'll start mailing stuff in, but not that I'm mailing it in today. I would never do that to the people.
I was gonna say, D, it kind of sounds like you're already mailing it in a little bit, just to start right off the bat, mailing it in.
I'm mailing in the intro is what's happening. I think is what just happened. I don't know, but yeah, in case people, I outed myself. But no, I'm on top of things. I'm all over the slates. Lots of takes to be had. We'll be debbing them out in the next hour and 15 minutes until crunch time comes in. Crunch time, you got Taylor Smith, Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth, as well as TJ Zwarich. You guys know TJ, one of the greatest DFS players in all of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. Speaking of Kevin Roth, by the way, it is Friday, and it's Freebie Friday, Tim. You know what that means. We give something away for free. What are we giving away for free? We always talk about it. We always hint at it. We talk about Weather Edge, Producer Steve throws it up on the screen. I know people have access to the actual article. The article is free, but Weather Edge is free for the people. I'll go ahead and drop it in chat if you guys are not aware. What's up, chat? Hit that like button, subscribe, turn on those notifications, do all those things. Help us keep the lights on. Yes, I will be watching the Sunday final. I expect I'll be watching the Euro final. Spain, right? I think it's Spain and England. I'm fairly certain that's the matchup. I know it's England. I think it's Spain as well. Yeah. Gonna be checking that out on Sunday. I'm sure you'll be breaking that down on Sirius. You're a big soccer fan. Probably not. Guessing not so much. What's up to Mr. Richard and J3 and everybody else hanging out in chat? Do say hello. Do join the conversation. It's much more fun when the chat does participate. Tim, happy Friday. How are things in Tim's world?
Dean, I have done so many best ball drafts today. Like my head is spinning. Probably done like 20 just today, like starting at noon time. So I'm really diving deep into this whole best ball thing. Yeah,
it'll suck you in for sure. How many do you do at a time? Because are you juggling multiple drafts? Because that for me that's a little bit tricky. I've done 2, never done 3. I prefer to be if I'm on the ends, like if I'm like 1 or 12, it's much easier. But if I'm in the middle and I'm always up, I'm just kind of bouncing back and forth. What do you do? Two at once? How many drafts can you handle at a time?
I'm only doing 1 at a time because it's my first year playing, so I'm still getting used to it. But yeah, it's so much fun.
The missing piece as far as the people show hanging out in chat, Bobby Gomes. What's up, Bobby? Hope things are well for him. Oh, Bobby's he's checking in from the wedding where he is drunk at already. It's only 5 o'clock, Bobby. He's already smashed.
He just got to the wedding, so I think he might have done some pre-gaming.
Yeah, I mean, are you a wedding guy? You like going to weddings? Some people dread going to weddings. Do you like it? Is it fun? People like the open bar. I think that's
it. It really depends on who's what wedding it is. It really depends. Some weddings are awful, and some weddings are absolutely amazing. So
okay,
it's tough. Yeah,
fair enough. Yeah, Bobby. We can get Bobby chiming in throughout the show. The wedding must not be a lot of fun if he's watching us on Friday.
I know. Not great.
That is. I mean, look. I'll tell you this. I enjoy the show. I like chiming in even when I'm not on it. If I'm at a wedding, I am not watching it. I'm not firing up GrindersLive. I'm just not doing it. I'll have my alerts on if I need. If I got to change some lineups or something like that. But I don't. I love to hear your takes, Tim. But I don't need. I'd rather just hang out at the wedding and have a good time. But anyways, Bobby, enjoy yourself. Congratulations to whoever is getting. Oh boy, he said the bride's father just fainted. I don't know if he's being sarcastic or not, but that would be that seems terrible. Hopefully that's not the case. And hopefully if it was, he's gonna be all right. In any event, 12 game slate, big boy slate. Lot going on here, Tim. Some big name pitchers as well. Some that haven't been pitching particularly great. We'll talk about that also. Garrett Crochet, I'm a little bit concerned with Crochet, a little bit. Maybe I'm curious if you can help me out with that. The coach speak about his innings. Of course, Chicago's going nowhere. If they want to trade him, he's an awesome trade piece. If not, if they want to keep him, they don't want to run him into the ground. He's got a long history of injuries. He's never really pitched a ton of innings in one particular season. I was pulling up an article. It's from a couple weeks ago. To be fair, it's from like June 25th. I'll give you the quotes in a second. But are you concerned at all as far as them pulling back on his innings tonight? We care about tonight only. DFS today. That's it. Who cares about 2 weeks from now? Maybe I'm just being paranoid, but he's coming in at 35% owned against Pittsburgh. I'm just a little bit concerned that they might limit his pitches a little bit. 87 is what it's baked down to. So we're kind of baking it in. He's strong, obviously. Well, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a little bit scary. It's definitely a little bit sketchy because they said he may be limited, on this last start before the All-Star game. It doesn't sound to me like he's definitely going to be limited, so that's just makes it that much harder. So, I mean, we've already kind of the bat and the RG projections have already kind of baked in fewer pitches than he normally would have. So I feel like we're already kind of baking in a little bit of caution with his projection, and he's still projecting the best overall pitcher on the slate. So, I don't know. To me, on this slate with all these bats that we want to play, there's other good pitchers and good spots. I don't think he would be a priority. Like most slates, Crochet at full capacity going against Pittsburgh at 10-3 would be a priority. But I think given the slate, I don't know if he's necessarily a priority.
That's kind of where I'm at, where I think he's fine, but I'm not really forcing it. Also, he's an all-star, and he would pitch in the all-star game on, I guess, 1 day short rest. I don't know if he's like the coaches said, listen, don't allow him to pitch. Sometimes that happens, but that's usually for pitchers to like pitch on Sunday. This is Friday. The all-star game's on Tuesday. Maybe he would just go an inning anyway. The quotes, by the way, this is from, again, a couple weeks ago. But this is what their manager said. We're going to start dwindling his workload down a little bit. We'll manage that correctly. But it's not something we're going to put out and say, hey, here's what we're doing, because nothing in this game is black and white. He might have 5 innings where he goes 12 pitches or less, and we might let him go 6 or 7, even when we're trying to minimize his workload. It all depends on what he does. He's slowly detraining through the course of the year so he can finish the season. We're not going to detrain him, which is a weird word, detrain him. We're not going to detrain him and build him back to the capacity where he was at the start of the season. This is going downhill now. We have to really monitor his workload. He went just 4 innings last time out, but that was possibly because he wasn't pitching that well. One of his worst starts of the season. Wasn't great. 3 walks, just 5 Ks against the Marlins. He did throw 93 pitches too, so he wasn't efficient. 88, 91, 85, 102. Just, I'm a little paranoid about it, and maybe he throws like 80, 85, or like 87's our median projection, and he's fine, right? But I don't really feel like I need it if he's like the chalk pitcher. But he also can strike out 10. It's a tough call as far as where we're at. But I don't have him number 1. As far as our projections, I was looking at our myself, Kirkwood, Dave Potts, Cheese is Good, and Squirrel Patrol. We don't have him number 1 consensus-wise. We got him number 2 for what it's worth. Our number 1 pitcher is throwing baseballs against Boston. It's Cole Ragans. How do we feel about Cole Ragans today? I should ask you for the overview before we kind of dug into this. Would you have an overview first? We should do that first.
Well, I mean, we already broke down Crochet pretty well. The very next pitcher I was going to bring up is Cole Ragans, because he would be my priority play on both sites. He's 8,500 on DraftKings. The Red Sox are just absolutely horrific against left-handed pitching. He is definitely going to be my first pitcher in. I've already decided that in cash games and single entry. It's definitely going to be Cole Ragans for me. So to me, that's like a pretty easy play. After that, though, is where things get really, really tricky. And I'm not really completely positive what I'm going to do in cash and single entry GPP right now. I'm taking a hard look at Sean Manaea at 8,600, even though that seems kind of gross. Also, that game has weather too, so I'm not going to take a chance on Manaea if the weather doesn't improve. So that might cross him right off the list. I think if I go up to Freddie Peralta at 97 against the Nationals, I'll probably just spend the 600 to get to Crochet. So I think I rank Crochet over Peralta, just because, 80 to 85 pitches from Crochet, I think he could still pretty easily beat Peralta against the Nationals. So I think he's interesting. And then in large field GPPs, or if you just want to pivot away in single entry and get a little bit different, I really like Joe Ryan at 9,800. So he's going to be, I guess we have at 20% ownership right now, but I mean, that's still a pretty significant drop from guys like Crochet and Mania right now. So, and then I think we can pitch Sonny Gray too, to be honest with you, just because he's pretty consistent. The Cubs have a tendency to strike out. So I think 10-2, 15% ownership from Sonny Gray. I think he's fine for tournaments as well.
All right. A lot to unpack there. And also a lot of good names to throw out there is like more reason why I don't feel like I have to play Crochet.
Right.
All that was pretty good. Gray is probably my least favorite amongst that group. We'll get to it. But you mentioned Joe Ryan, and Peter in chat is saying, check where Joe Ryan is from. Easy game. According to Peter, he's got 60 friends and family coming to the game tonight, but don't see anybody mentioning that online. Peter has inside sources. And then I like his last comment. He says, these guys won't talk about the hometown narrative. It's one of the last hedges left in DFS. Not know if he's making a joke or not, but that made me laugh. Yeah, so apparently Joe Ryan, I assume that means he's from San Fran or from the coast out there on the the Oakland, close enough too. But yeah, I don't know how he has the inside sources. That 60 friends of, I don't even have 60 friends and family. I don't think I can't even get there. I don't believe so. The list would be kind of, I mean, I'd really have to lower the standards, I think. And anyways, yeah, Joe Ryan, good matchup too. And the other thing with Joe Ryan, like friends and family aside, is that he's a fly ball pitcher, right? Good strikeout pitcher, but that's a great ballpark to be a fly ball pitcher. All those fly balls just die in the warning track. So I like Joe Ryan a good bit. Oh, wait, Peter's saying it could be fake news. He's from San Fran. Okay, so, well, wait, with the 60 friends and family? Well, I don't know. In any event, I assume that some of his family would show up. Sure, why not? Yeah, Crochet currently the highest projected owned player here at 35% pitcher, I should say. Ragans at 32. Like, I don't really get that. We should finish up on the Ragans thing, by the way. 8.5 is an egregious price. I don't know why he should be 9.5. I would pay 10K for Ragans. I don't know why he's not baked up more. And we've talked about this all the time with Ragans, how reverse splits he is when it comes to his strikeouts. 20% Ks versus lefties. He's a lefty. Left on left, only 20% strikeouts. Right, left on right, 31.9%. Combine that with Boston's inability to hit lefties in this lineup today, collectively 27.9% as far as strikeouts. Ref Snyder leading off at 27%, Duran at 25%, O'Neill at 33%, Devers, really good hitter when he hits it, but 35% Ks versus lefties, 30% for Rafaela. Hamilton hitting in the 9-hole, left on left, 34%. Look, the ceiling feels like 11, maybe 10 strikeouts for Ragans today if everything goes his way. I'm surprised he's not well ahead of everybody else when it comes to ownership. Now that might adjust. Maybe we're just in our bubble. We don't really like to pick on Boston, as we've been playing them more of late, but this is not Oakland anymore. It's not Oakland's pitchers. And we talk about their inability to the ball or strike out a lot versus lefties. And Ragans, six righties we're seeing in this lineup. To me, it's clear and obvious the best pitcher. And it's especially when you consider the price, you're getting a discount too. And you said you've already made your mind, that's your guy, and that's where I'm at as well. Look at you multitasking, answering questions in chat, Tim. You're on top of it.
I do this every show.
I know, but here's the thing: your usage goes up. You're used to a 3-man booth. This is a 2-man booth, so you gotta more usage just come. You gotta say more words now.
I've done enough 2-man boosts. Don't worry about it.
You got to adjust. Yeah. So SB2, have you decided? Are we going double barrel? Is that the plan? Can we make that work when it comes to pitchers? I think so.
Yeah, I think we do pretty much have to double barrel tonight. I don't think there's any reason it's like, do I really want to pitch Andrew Heaney? I know that the Astros lineup is going to be, assuming
No,
Jordan's
Jordan's
out.
back.
Jordan's back. Okay, so
He's
even
DHing.
more, so even more of a reason not to go low at pitching this evening. So I would basically stop at Hunter Brown. I wouldn't go anywhere under 8,200 on DK. I would X all those guys right out. I don't think there's really any of those guys. I know Tyler Anderson, he spiked a big K game. He's going up against Seattle, who strikes out pretty heavily, but I'm not gonna chase that game from Tyler Anderson. So I'm not gonna pitch him. Randy Vasquez, he makes a lot of things work, but he could also just absolutely sink your team. So I honestly wouldn't go below Hunter Brown on this slate.
You mentioned the Anderson thing. Like, he's like one of the biggest frauds in baseball right now. 2.81 ERA, 5.14 Sierra. His BABIP is 229. His left on base is almost 84%. Lucky when it comes to home run, the fly ball stuff. Walks more than 10%. Ks less than 17%. 8.5% barrels. That's too high. He's at the second highest Sierra on the board. I can't do it. I cannot do it. I understand. If you look, his ERA is 2.81, and I think he's an all-star, and good for him. But stop it. There's no chance. I mean, can he survive it? Of course. Can he keep on getting? Can he keep getting away with it? Sure. Yeah, of course. By the way, shout out to producer Steve and Bing Bong Nation. I don't know if you saw this, but Jalen Brunson just signed a 4-year deal, an extension with New York. I think a pretty good deal, all things considered. But 4 years, 156. I think that's pretty fair. It's kind of team friendly. And also, are you aware of it, Steve?
Yeah, I believe he had a bigger deal and decided to take a little bit less to help with cap and everything with the team. I think I was just reading about it. I think I read it said he's going to get 113 million less guaranteed than he was originally going to.
Yeah. Well, good for him.
So yeah, I'm happy that he's wants to win the ship and not be just greedy and take all the money.
It's so funny though, because we want to hang out with all those college guys, right? But it was apparently he wanted to stay in Dallas, and like Dallas kind of said, we offered him something, and Brunson was like, not really. Imagine Brunson on that team, but that's one of those sliding doors moments, I suppose. All right, we have more lineups coming through as well. Nolan Jones got scratched for the Rockies. Just a heads up there, if you care. Angels lineup just dropped. It stinks. KJ Martin signed with the Sixers. Shout out to KJ Martin. The my Miami Heat get worse and worse by the day. But okay. Any interest in the San Diego pitcher? Stan is asking us. You just touched on him. People just want to save salary, and like I don't feel great about Vasquez. Like, can he get by and get lucky? Sure, I suppose, but you didn't seem terribly optimistic. Can you rank as far as Crochet, Ragans? You mentioned Minaya. He's got the matchup there against Colorado. Pretty good leash as well. Expecting 96 pitches. Peralta, and you're also getting a bit of a discount on Minaya. And it's a good ballpark to pitch in. Did you have like a ranking, or is it just sort of like tiers of Crochet? We have Ragans 1, but what about the next tier? I know you kind of touched on him and you ran him off. Sonny Gray, Joe Ryan. I think that's where. Is Garrett Cole in that grouping? Because he's not for me. I don't have him in that grouping. I would have him next tier.
Yeah, I'd probably have him next year also, but he's pretty close to that top tier. So I would go Ragans number 1 easily, and then if we get like some kind of clearance from Roth about pitching Minaya, I put Minaya 2. I would put I'd probably put Joe Ryan 3, then Peralta 4, and then that's probably what I would do. And then if you want to go, I don't know, it's really tough because like the projections between like Garrett Cole and Hunter Brown are super, super close. And then you get like a pretty massive drop off after that. So it's really not I don't know. I see some people asking in chat about like Marco Gonzalez, and I just can't do that at 6,600. He's going to be on a pretty tight pitch count, I would imagine, probably around 75 pitches. I know it's the
He
White
also
Sox.
stinks.
Yeah, exactly. Like he doesn't have like huge K upside, so I just can't advocate for that. I can't go with Vasquez either. So it's I don't know. And then the interesting thing is Carson Spears at 7K. Like, yeah, we love to stream against Miami, but I think that the Miami Bats are like really, really good plays tonight. So I don't want to get to any Carson Spears either.
No Burger in that Miami lineup. If I'm not sure if you've taken a look at it just yet, but he was one of those value plays that I was liking earlier in the day. Burger not available for Miami. Jazz still pretty good. They have Edwards batting second, who's really, really cheap, but he's been pretty horrendous so far. Bell is a cheapie. Sanchez, obviously the big upgrade there, hitting baseballs. And since we'll talk about that soon enough. Jim in chat is asking 3 main stacks that we have in our pool. We'll talk stacks in a second, but Cincinnati might be one of them. Maybe. We'll see. They might hit the board. We'll have that conversation later on. But, I think New York is pretty interesting as well. You mentioned we talked about Cole. I like to look at the slate as a whole. I always talk about that, and I kind of list all the pitchers together. I'm not counting Jackson Rutledge in his 1 inning pitch, so it doesn't matter. But we're going to throw him out. The 2 highest pitchers as far as barrel percentage allowed are both pitching in the same game in Baltimore. It's Cade Povich and Garrett Cole. And these are small samples, right? 14% barrel rate, that's too high. Walk rate is 10%, that's too high. I know his velocity's been down a tick as well. And do I really want to pick on Baltimore? I don't think so. And it doesn't seem necessary because we have other aces out there. So I am just not really in on Cole. And Povich, of course, there's no chance I'm playing Povich. Cade Povich, You are not in the player pool. There, I'm sorry, I should not have done that, but I couldn't help myself.
You couldn't help it, could you? You just couldn't do it. Yeah, I mean,
to everybody.
Cole to me just does not seem necessary. I don't think he has the ceiling in this matchup to really win you a GPP. So I don't think rostering Cole is really worth it. Yeah, I mean he's going to be
Eric in chat likes him. I don't know if that changes things.
Well, Eric in chat he bet the over 5.5 of the K prop. So I mean that's a little different. So it's I just don't think he's got the ceiling. I just don't see a world where he's going to get 9 or 10 Ks and really bury you if you don't have him. So that's my issue with him.
Let's see. Samuel in chat's asking about Rodriguez for Toronto. Those walks are really rough. 12.5% walks. The Ks are okay at 22.7%. I don't think I'm getting there. You just like me. We're not making a lot of lineups. So I could tell you it's not happening. Taking on Arizona. Do you have any interest in Y-Rod?
This is a really tough matchup for Rodriguez. The Diamondbacks are a very, very patient team. They have a very, very high walk rate, especially the top half of that lineup, and they don't strike out. So double-digit walk percentage for Rodriguez. He's a decent strikeout pitcher, but against Arizona, that's a tough task. So that's another play I really would not advocate for.
We got Jug Nation hanging out in chat. I see Kirkwood hanging out. Hopefully things are going well for Chris Kirkwood. Let's see. We want to know. I just saw the question pop up in chat. Jose was asking about any extremes as far as umpires, and I'll give my standard warning that every once in a while this stuff changes when new series starts. Monday, Friday, sometimes they start on Tuesdays. Obviously afterwards, which way they rotate. But where we have it right now, I'm seeing just one extreme, and guess where it is? Extreme pitchers umpire for Cole Ragans. Extreme pitchers umpire for Criswell on the other side. I don't think we're rostering Criswell. Just coming back from the minors. We have a couple games that have not yet announced or projected umpires, the West Coast stuff, right? Atlanta, as well as the Toronto game. So otherwise, that's the only extreme we have currently. This stuff every once in a while changes. understand that, but that is where we're at. By the way, you mentioned the weather for the Mets, and as you mentioned it, I hit refresh on Ross' article. It was yellow-orange before. Now it's just straight yellow, so it's improved.
Ooh,
I'll go ahead and read it. It just says, like Baltimore or Philly, they're almost certainly to have to play through some rain. I expect that's exactly what they do, as the rain should stay mostly light, with just a chance of a heavier downpour that could stop play. I'll leave a chance for a delay, but note that I think it's more likely they avoid even that. And that's the only thing we have, right? Yellow also in Baltimore. Let's see. I'll let you guys read this at your own leisure because there's nothing really of notes. I'll drop it in chat if you want to go ahead and check that out. But the way I'm seeing it, of course, Roth will come on 6:15-ish. He'll give some clarity if anything changes. But right now I have no issues as far as precipitation. Is that kind of where you're at as well? Now that you see that it's yellow,
now that I see that,
it's going to be fine, I think.
Yeah. Now that I see this, I'm not worried about weather. So that's good. That's good not to have to worry about that.
Sean Manaea, your SP2, is that what's happening? Is that what I'm hearing? Maybe?
Yeah, I think that's probably what I'm going to do. It seems disgusting with all these other arms on the slate, but it's either going to be Sean Manaea or Joe Ryan.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too. And is it a little bit different? Oh, you know what? Did this just change? Did Crochet's ownership just go down, or am I imagining this? I think we just got a brand new.
It was 34%. Now
you know what? 27.
27. Yeah.
We moved the needle very clearly. This is what's happened. Tim moves the needle. Tim says, Crochet, whatever. But and Ragans is now 35. That's what makes sense to me. I wish that wasn't the case, but I think Ragans is the clear and obvious best amongst our options. And the discount as far as the prices, that's the old icing in the cake. And whatever's on top of icing, a cherry, is the old extreme pitchers umpire as well. 35% for Ragans, 30% for Manaea, Crochet at 28%, Peralta 26%, Ryan 22%. Sonny Gray, I think he overachieved to start the season, and I think it's a fair assessment just because, what is he, like 35 at this point? How old is Sonny Gray? You know, he's out of nowhere having this great season, 34 years old. It's close. Price is right, rules I lose. And also they want 10-2 for him. I know the Cubs have been sputtering. It's hot in St. Louis for what it's worth. I think they had the fire emoji on the weather eggs. Let me see if that's still the thing. Fire emoji in Cincinnati. Interesting, by the way, fire emoji, but basically neutral, right? 89 degrees. Wind is essentially a non-factor at 2 miles per hour. Yeah, essentially neutral historically. In St. Louis, 175 games, 86 degrees, 4 miles per hour to left field, but neutral in a massive sample. Negative 0.8% in homers, negative 3.5% as far as runs. I think Gray's fine. And also, he's also had a couple games here and there where he kind of like pushes pitch count down. So he's sort of back of the line for me amongst the elites. Hunter Brown is fine, but like not necessary is kind of where I'm at. But if you need to save a little bit of salary, I'm okay settling there against Texas. I'm just trying to think like other options. We got him at 14%, Cole at 5%, Heaney at 3%. It's double barrel. That's the way projections have it, depending on what you qualify as like, you know, good enough to be considered. Sean Manaea, right? He's double barrel status. I think he's there for today, at least against Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a very, very strong option. I mean, like I said, I don't think I'd go below Hunter Brown if I was making, 20 teams or so. So, yeah, I think it's definitely a double barrel night. I mean, really, really, really strong pitching this evening. So, Ian, we're also kind of like bearish on Crochet, who could easily strike out 10 Pirates. So, I mean, it's like there's a huge opportunity cost at this upper level of pricing for pitcher on DK. So it's like you're really going to hurt yourself by going down to some of these low K guys, that really just aren't going to have much of a ceiling at all. So, Randy Vasquez, 6,200, that's great. but it's not a very good matchup. And he's a very, very low K percentage pitcher, not even 15% on the entire season. So, I mean, it's not a guy who's going to have a ceiling game against Atlanta.
Michael Bush taking Sonny Gray deep, according to Cam, the man in the chats. Well, they did lose Bellinger. Bellinger missing from that lineup there for Chicago certainly hurts the overall stack. And the other tricky thing is, we'll get into it, is like if you're going double barrel, it's really hard to get like Judge and Soto, and they are well positioned, against Baltimore, against Povich, who has the lowest K percentage on the slate at 14%, one of the highest barrel rates at 13%, a too high 10.4% walk rate, and he's a fly ball pitcher. It feels like an awesome spot for Judge. They're always awesome.
Can you imagine if that game was in Yankee Stadium?
Oh yeah, I mean for sure.
It'd be like Home Run Derby.
Interesting one-off question, which I have no clue how to answer. Witz or Gunnar? Who would you prefer as a one-off? I know we're not talking hitters just yet, but I saw it pop up, and I think Gunner's a really interesting play against Cole. Lefty power plays better in that ballpark, and if you're going to get to Cole, Gunner looks like an awesome one-off. He can do it multiple ways. But Witt's in Boston, great ballpark for him as well. I don't know. I don't have an answer. Do you have an answer?
I'd probably go with Witt.
By the way, did you know today in baseball history, this is the 45th anniversary of Disco Demolition Night? You aware of Disco Demolition Night before our time? But Disco sucks. This was like in 79. No. Well, I guess it was 1979. It was kind of the end of disco, and it was Bill Veeck, one of the Vecks, who was in charge of promotions out there for the White Sox. And I think it was a doubleheader. In the first half of the doubleheader, they were blowing up the disco records, because this is at the point where I guess people turned on disco. Do you know that? Does anything sound familiar to you or no?
No,
I'm out of nowhere on this.
I got nothing on this one, Dean.
Are you a big disco guy? Are you still think disco?
No.
Okay.
No.
So it was I think it was a doubleheader, and in between the doubleheader, they burned a bunch of a disco. What is the records? I couldn't think of the word record. Yeah, and they had to forfeit the second half of the doubleheader. I think they actually took the L because everybody invaded the field. I saw a great documentary on it. It's really interesting, and it was done for promotional purposes. And Veeck was the Veeck family. There's other Vecks too, in the minor leagues. They would do weird promotions, and this was one of them that did not work. Producer Steve says disco is fire, so Steve's bringing it back. He's still keeping disco alive.
Hammer is claiming that Disco Demolition he was there for, so
I believe that.
We have a witness supposedly to this.
It's a pretty wild story if you ever look into it. But you know what? It might have been the same day they had dollar beers too, and the combination, the perfect storm of dollar beers and people did. If you didn't like disco, you really didn't like disco. I think at that point, people turned on it. Hammer says it was nuts. I need more information, Hammer. You got any picks, or it didn't happen?
Kirkwood loves disco, apparently. Maybe that's the night he's going to go streaking at Fenway's disco night at Fenway.
Maybe that is the night. Maybe that's when it happened. I don't know. Little John Travolta. There you go. Little Saturday Night Fever. Producer Steve's on top of it. All right. Kirkwood says he used to spin the disco house music. Yeah, I think Kirkwood used to be a DJ on the side. But Beat Nerd TV. So the documentary is great. And yes, they had dollar beers. It was crazy. Yeah, I wish I could remember what the name of the documentary was. I guess we have a Google machine if you're interested. But all right. Anything else as far as pictures that we should touch on here? Anything else you want to focus on? We kind of mentioned Peralta in passing. I didn't mean to ignore him. We got Ryan ahead of him, right?
I do. Projections disagree with me, though. So, it's definitely a little bit of a hot take, but I do like Ryan more than Peralta.
Yeah, that is where I'm at as well. I'm Googling now. I was curious the name of the documentary. My apologies. I was distracted for a second. Like maybe it's on Netflix. Looks like it's on Netflix. There you go. Check it out, kids. It's worth looking into. I was thinking of 10-cent beer night in Cleveland. There was a riot. Am I combining two different nights? I don't know if I am.
That's what they're claiming, that you have combined two promotional events into one. That's what
I think that they both. I think both might have happened. I'm pretty sure, but all right. Let's give the summary as far as pitchers. Anything else of notes? I'm just trying to think if we missed anybody that we have our Crochet take out there. Oh, Wu is back. You can't play him though because
you can't play.
Pitch count.
Woo. Yeah, can't play Wu.
Yeah,
I saw
somebody mention him.
Yeah,
you can. You're an adult. You can click on Wu if you'd like to, but it's not recommended. I still think Schwellenbach is better than his numbers suggest, but I don't think it's necessary. I don't think I'm getting there. They're asking about Spires. I'm not enthused about it. Although that Marlins lineup is pretty terrible. It is still bad. It's like guessing to play Spires.
And he's gonna be 1% owned. So
is that correct?
That's what we have for him.
Huh.
That's what the updated episode. Even if he's like 5%, I guess. But I mean, I don't want people to click that because I want to play some Marlins because they're extremely cheap and they allow me to double barrel very easily. So, I mean, I guess you can play a 1% pitcher against the Marlins if you really want to, but I just don't think it's a great idea.
Let's see. Spires in the season, 3.64 ERA, 4.25 Sierra. The Ks aren't great, 18%. The walks are fine at 5%. Hard hit rate at 35%. Which isn't terrible. I see Kirkwood was talking about him in chats, and he's got him noted here on Lineup HQ as like the cheap value guy, but like he's in charge of salary savers, and I think you have to pick somebody as a salary saver. So maybe
he also tagged Heaney.
Okay. If you're picking between those two, who would you take?
Well, and then he also wrote a blurb about Vasquez. So
take a stand, Kirkwood.
I know, right? I mean, so
he's giving the people some options, I suppose.
I guess Spires, would be my preferred option.
Eric wants to know if we can play Criswell. I don't think so. I mean, look, I'm not going to. You have any interest in Criswell?
Definitely not.
Yeah. Some people just tuned in. You want to give them the summary as far as pitchers?
Yeah, so I'm going to go Manaea, Ragans, single entry, and cash games. I'm a little bit concerned about Crochet's pitch count, but he is definitely firmly in play and really in any format. It's really up to you what you want to do with that. Information about his potential to be limited this evening. Then my next favorite would be Joe Ryan. I think he's got a pretty decent matchup, pretty decent ballpark in San Francisco. So I like him a little bit more than Peralta. Peralta would be my next favorite pitcher. He's got a very long leash. He has a really great run prevention spot against the Nationals. And then I would close it out with Sonny Gray. And then if you're making like 20 teams, let's say, my recommendation is not to go below Hunter Brown. So I think you could sprinkle in some Hunter Brown. I think you could sprinkle in some Garrett Cole, and then sprinkle in some Sonny Gray. But I don't have any desire to go below Hunter Brown.
12-game slates, 12-game main slates. We have 24 teams to throw in a stack. You made the tiers today, Tim. I did make an executive decision, and I swapped in number 5 in honor of Bobby Gomes. It'll make sense in a second. But we kind of touched on this in yesterday's show. We were talking about barbecue sides. So in chat, let us know what is the best, what is the worst side items at the barbecue. Tim, tell us your thought process as we open up the board and talk some stacks.
Yeah, well, this all started because Bobby Gomes said that rice pilaf is a barbecue side dish, and that was the most absurd comment I've heard in a long, long time. So
you heard a lot of absurd comments.
Yeah, especially in our private chat. So, so I was like, no, Bobby, no chance. So he said that I've never been to a real barbecue before, and it turned into a whole thing. So we decided to make that the list today. And so, I'm thinking about, hot dogs, ribs, hamburgers, you're outside at a barbecue, you're talking solo cups, we're talking cheap beer, what are you going to have with your sides? So, yeah, so baked beans is my favorite. Huge baked bean guy. I think it's the top side dish. Green beans are a very, very safe option. They're above average. It's a very, very clean, easy to do dish. Pasta salad is like the chalk. There's always seems to be some odd pasta salad there. You're not really sure what's in it, but it's okay. Potato salad, not for me, but it's okay. And then rice pilaf. I mean, that would be the worst, the most offensive side dish you could possibly make for a barbecue.
Several people in chat, including producer Devin, were saying, yeah, I was surprised this wasn't on the list as well. I thought mac and cheese would make it. Was that considered? Is that others considered votes? Is that in the conversation?
What people don't know is when we make these lists, there's a lot of pressure that Dean puts on us. He's like yelling at us constantly, yes. And there's a lot of like ... after he says something, so it's like,
show me the pic of that. You're just making this up. That this conversation.
I'm not making this up.
Expose me.
I'll go back and check next show, Dean. I'll expose you.
Send it to producer Steve. He'll throw it up. I'm happy. You can throw whatever you want on the screen.
This is going to go right to the top, Dean. It's going to go right to Devin. Okay. So, yeah. So anyway,
I think you're making things. You just forgot. You couldn't say, you know what? My bad. I forgot about macaroni. You couldn't take ownership.
I do like macaroni. I don't know where I'd put it though. I like baked beans more. I like green beans more. I don't want it to be like some like average normal pasta thing. So the way you make these lists, Dean, it ruins it.
No, the way you make the list.
No.
There's a suggested structure.
Your rules about this list ruins it all.
The correct way to do it is a rule. By the way, we did do a poll just to see if he settled the debate with Bobby Gomes. I sent out a poll on the old Twitter. Would you consider rice pilaf a typical side at a barbecue? And 90.2% said no. Who are these 9.8%, by the way? Just how many burners does Bobby have?
Those are just that's just Bobby's burners. That's all it is. So
I also liked Brandon's take in chat. Every single one of these things in this is gross. Yeah. Barbecues is about like the meat. Like most of the sides stink. Baked beans are fine. Green beans are fine. Potato salad, gross. Pasta salad, gross. Rice pilaf is fine, but it's not at a barbecue. Macaroni, I'll tell you, this is a different list altogether, but like foods that have the biggest variance, macaroni could be elite or it could be trash. It has a big wild card.
And that's kind of what I was including with. Yeah, that's what I was kind of including with pasta salad. There's a wide range of what pasta salad can be. So yeah, Kirkwood, corn on the cob, good call. Sure,
that's a good call too.
In. Yeah, cornbread. Yeah, that's a good call.
Sure.
Yeah.
Fine. Chips. Somebody said chips. I guess chips are.
Aaron's saying that I'm deflecting and blaming Dean. I mean, it's true.
Thank you, Aaron.
I'm not deflecting. Okay.
2 weeks free of RG Premium for Aaron.
I was considering banning him, but okay.
We'll reward people for telling the truth. That's all. What's wrong with that? Is beer a side? There are people lobbying for beer as a side in chat.
No, I mean that's a separate category.
All right, fair enough. Okay, let's do it. Let's go game by game. A little bit different, just the two of us. Maybe producer Steve will jump in and break ties if we need to break ties. Maybe the chat will break ties. We'll see. We'll see how this goes. But we tend to think similarly too. Not when it comes to sides of barbecues, obviously, but when it comes to baseball, we tend to be a similar thought process. New York, Baltimore. That's the first game on the board. Cole versus Povich. We talked about how both these pitchers have struggled, especially by Cole's standard. Baltimore, awesome offense. New York, pretty good, but a little bit different as far as the iteration. We have DJ LeMahieu leading off. Rice is in there. Speaking of Rice Pilaf, Ben Rice is in there left on left. I thought it was going to be Davis. Davis did not crack the lineup. But, Yeah, LeMahieu, Soto, Judge, Rice, Torres, Verdugo, and Volpe still buried now in the 7 hole. Where do you have the Yankees and Baltimore?
Yankees are definitely baked beans. They are baked beans. They're corn on the cob. They're all the great stuff. Okay, Yankees are the top stock on the board as far as I'm concerned. So that's a pretty easy one. Cole can give up home runs. He is susceptible to giving up some power. It's either pasta salad or potato salad. I'd say pasta salad for Baltimore.
I was willing to go as high as green beans because I think Baltimore is kind of sort of somewhat sneaky. They're just not going to be owned because it's Cole, and that offense is really legit. But I'm not going to argue if you throw them in pasta salad, but we shall move on. Okay, yeah, New York up top. I'm good with that. It really dies off pretty. They're very similar to the Dodgers, right? Where it just fades out and the back end is pretty rough. But they're also cheap enough where you can actually make a 5-man stack if you're playing, Jahmai Jones or Trevino. Verdugo's pretty cheap. Rice, his price is pumped up. Torres is really cheap. I think it's like 2.5 or 2.6 on FanDuel, 3.5 on DK. Next game we're going to talk about is I want to be uniform with producer Steve. He doesn't like it when I give the different 7-10 games. It's in a different order on Lineup HQ than it is on the lineups page. So, okay, so Kansas City and Boston. Cole Ragans, we raved about him several times today. Ragans taking on Criswell. Kansas City, they got to be favorite here, right? Yeah, -113 favorite. I feel like they should be a bigger favorite than that. Am I wrong in saying that? It's basically a coin toss. That feels incorrect.
It's a pretty sketchy line, isn't it?
Isn't it? That is sketch. I don't know what that means, but
I think it means don't bet it.
Does Vegas know? You're saying the fix is in?
Yeah. So
we got Donahue calling balls and strikes.
It could be.
Frank Drevin's on it.
I go KC with green beans. I think they're in a pretty decent spot. Obviously, great hitters park. Pretty solid hitting weather also. So I think KC is green beans, and I go Red Sox right into Rice Pilaf. Just because I am extremely bullish on Cole Ragans. I think he dominates this lineup pretty easily, so I'm going to put them in Rice Pilaf.
I am not going to disagree with you. How do you feel about Adam Frazier leading off? Do we want that? Like, typically I love, leadoff hitters on the road in a good ballpark that are cheap, but then it's Adam Frazier, and I'm like, eh. So do we like Adam Frazier begrudgingly?
I mean, we're going to get to some teams that I think are pretty cheap. So I don't think we necessarily need that. Of course, you can do that, maybe in like a KC 3-man, but I don't think it's necessary.
Great comment in chat. Enrico Palazzo is definitely an extreme pitchers umpire. Picked up on the Frank Drebin reference. Well done. And come on, that was for you, Tim. I know you're a naked gun guy. You gave me nothing. You didn't even give me a smile.
I don't want to appease you, Dean. And also, Frazier has a 30% pinch hit risk, which is pretty high. So
if a lefty comes in, decent chance, he gets the old hook. All right, Colorado's taking on the Mets. That's the last of our 7-10 games. Tanner Gordon, I'm told, is a person who's trained to throw baseballs. He's taking on Sean Manaea, who's going to be somewhat popular. -275 favorite, big boy favorite. This Colorado lineup obviously is horrendous. They did lose Jones as well. Jones was scratched if you're unaware. Where do you have the Mets? The Mets have a team total above 5.39 if you want to get all technical. Colorado at 3.11, 311. Shout out to 311. Nice band there from the 90s. Are they still doing their thing, 311? I don't know, but they're a fun listen. Where do you have Manaea and, I guess I just said the Mets and the Rockies?
I'm going to put the Rockies in Rice Pilaf. I'm very high on Manaea in this matchup. I think the Rockies have the second lowest implied team total on the slate. And they lost.
Nats are lower.
Yeah, I think that's it. And they had to scratch Nolan Jones, who's a okay hitter. So I'm gonna go Rockies in Rice Pilaf, and then I'm gonna go Mets in green beans.
Did producer Steve put that there before you said it? I'm surprised he didn't go all the way to baked beans. Sometimes he gets a little bit ambitious with his Mets, but I think that is the correct spot.
I was being fair today. I don't think they're the very top, but they should do well today against the pitcher I never even heard of.
Yeah, I think so. I think it should do well as well. I like where Tim put him. If you would have put him all the way up top, I would not have argued with you. And yeah, I think we should throw Colorado down there at Rice Pilaf. By the way, Steve, we have Boston hanging out in Rice Pilaf as well. Just a heads up. I'm not sure how they meandered to pasta salad, but they have to take a tumble. All right. Next game up that we have, let's see, is Miami, the Marlins. Speaking of terrible teams, the Marlins, it's Yanni Chirinos taking on Carson Spires. No Jake Berger for that Miami lineup. I thought Berger would be an interesting cheapie. We saw Encarnacio Strand, doesn't matter for today, but basically he's done for the year. I saw a note, 3 months they're saying he's going to be out for. So that is essentially the season, right? I think so. Yeah, we're already halfway in. So Encarnacio Strand.
Yeah. I saw
they didn't say done for the year, but they said 3 months. So I guess maybe if they make a run in the playoffs, I guess there's a chance he can come back. Cincinnati's got a team total above 5. Marlins do have a team total of 4. They're getting that ballpark bump. Another terrible hitter hitting high in the lineup is Xavier Edwards. He's cheap also. He's a punt. He's also a shortstop punt, which is like opportunity cost galore. So I do not like doing that at a premium position. If he was a different position, maybe. And he's just not been good. But I think the Marlins are kind of sort of somewhat interesting. I'm curious, mostly because of their price, but in part because of the ballpark jump as well. But where do you have Miami and Cincy?
Yeah, huge ballpark upgrade for Florida. I completely agree with your Edwards call, though. And he's going to be 15% owned on a full game slate. So, really, I don't like that play. Great call by you on that. Love Jazz, though. Love Brian De La Cruz, Jesus Sanchez. I love those guys. Chisholm's going to be about 10%, but at least he's a dual threat. Good, solid hitter. 4,200, too cheap. Jesus Sanchez, good power numbers. Only going to be 7% owned. So, I think Miami's got to be in green beans. And then, yeah, I love this game.
Well, if you're stacking Miami, I think you can play Edwards for the record. I think you can. You probably can get a nice little mini stack. Yeah, sure. I wouldn't play him a la carte. You know what I mean? If he's a part of a stack, whatever. Maybe he runs, basically throwing double or something like that.
Yeah, but I mean, price considered is what brings them up to green beans for me. They're just so cheap. So, if you're going to be double bearing tonight, you're going to need some salary relief, and Miami is a great source of that. So, I love the Marlins, and then I also love the Reds. Especially these lefties going up against Chirinos. So, Ellie De La Cruz right now, 5% owned. That is fantastic. I love that. Candelario, 6% owned. Fraley, 5%. I mean, these Will Benson, 2% for a wraparound. I absolutely love the Reds. So both these teams are going in green beans for me.
Producer Steve is asking us, is this the game stack, Tim? I assume, I don't want to speak for you, but you don't really force it. But if some people like to just watch one game and root for runs,
this would be it. This would be it. Yeah.
By the way, Shannon in chat is saying, terrible. Xavier Edwards is a 310 batting average. But it's fine. But it's the emptiest 310. There's no power, very little. He's actually has the ability to steal bases, just one so far. But, I don't want singles. I do not want singles. I want homers. I want dingers. And he has not shown the ability to do that just yet in the majors. So yeah, I shouldn't say he's been terrible, but for our purposes, he's terrible, if that makes sense.
For his position, huge opportunity cost at shortstop. So that's another issue.
Moki's telling me to mush some more. So there you go. We've mushed the heck out of. If mushes are real, and I'm told some people think they are, Xavier Edwards is going to hit for the cycle tonight. But a comment in chat from Devin, work with the dude from Omaha. You play 311 every single day. Got to the point where I hated them. That's funny because they're from Omaha. Does a band being from your hometown or whatever make you like that band more? Like, does it sound better? It's a strange. I don't know if that was the reason or just a coincidence, but I don't know what band is from your hometown that you enjoy. But did you have anything off? What band's from Maine? Is there any bands that There's some Boston bands, of course, if you want to stretch the Boston. Do we have any Maine bands? Who's from Maine?
I don't know. I got nothing for you on that one.
Nobody at the local pub that can play the heck out of a harmonica or something?
There's definitely a lot of those people, but no like real bands.
Let's see. I quick Google search. Paranoid Social Club, The Leftovers, Outbreak, Ghost of Paul Revere. Stop me when you've heard of one of these bands. Stephen King. I've heard of Stephen King. Does he play an instrument? Taking Back Sunday is from where producer Steve is from. Yeah, they're from Jersey. I've seen them like 3 or 4 times back in the day. They're a fun concert. And I think they're still doing their thing. I'm not certain, but I believe they are. But all right. Is OAR from Maine, according to Mr. Grapefruit? I don't think so. But maybe they are. They just not pop up in my Google search. All right. More lineups popping up as well. By the way, I do want to share those. We did get the D-backs. Carroll Moreno's batting second. Peterson, Walker, Perdomo, Grichuk, Suarez, Thomas, Newman. That means, no Marte, no Cattell. I'm looking at that lineup. I'm like, something looks goofy here. Schwellenbach gets a little bit better if you need a flat-out punt. I guess not a flat-out punt, but late slate possibly. You're playing the late slate. There's no Marte and there's no Gurriel. So that's not the best Arizona iteration. We did get the Milwaukee, which I think is going to be a pretty popular stack today. Terang, Contreras, Yelich, Adames, Frelick, Hoskins, Mitchell, Ortiz, and Trio in the 9-hole. All right. Moving on. Next game up. Texas taking on Houston. Andrew Heaney, Hunter Brown. Houston is favored here, minus 147 favorite. 4.4 is their team total. Texas just below 4. Trying to see if there's anything goofy. We did get Yordan Alvarez back. He is DHing. There's probably, if we're going to draft on players most likely to get, pinch ran for, probably Yordan Alvarez. But, if he's playing, I assume he's playing. Where do you have Houston and Texas?
This game is pretty tough all around. Don't really have much faith in Heaney. I think I got to put Houston in pasta salad. Obviously, there's some great hitters at the top of this lineup. Drops off pretty big when you go to the bottom half. So they are pasta salad for me. And then I think Hunter Brown does pretty well in this matchup. So I don't have any faith in the Rangers in this spot. So I'm going to go Texas in potato salad.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I have no issues with that. We can move on. Pittsburgh taking on Chicago, 7.5 total. Crochet versus Marco Gonzalez. Some people talked about pitching Gonzalez. I don't think we're going to get there. Obviously, this White Sox lineup stinks. 7.5 total is not particularly high. Where do we have the Pirates and the White Sox?
Pirates are definitely in rice peel-off. Even if Garrett Crochet pitches 75 pitches, they're really going to struggle here. So Pittsburgh's an easy rice peel-off play. I think the White Sox are actually somewhat interesting and are going to be very, very low owned, and they're very inexpensive. So I'm going to put them in pasta salad.
The White Sox and pasta salad?
Yep.
Okay.
I am.
5-man or 3-man? If you're thinking about what do we like here? I guess Luis Robert, sure. DeYoung is another shortstop.
I think Eloy at 41. That top half, the top four in this lineup is really solid. Marco can't strike out anyone, so I mean it's tough. Even Sosa, he's second base, third base eligible at 2,400. I think he's interesting. I won't be 5-manning them. I think you could though, in large field. But they're better as a 3-man, in my opinion.
Yeah, Sosa, if you want to flat out punt second or third, which it's not the deepest of positions today. I just see a random question popping up in chat. We may have time for questions before we yield to crunch time. They come in about 15 minutes or so. You get Taylor Smith. You got TJ Zwarich. You got Chief Mineralogist Kevin Roth. One more time, I'll tell you guys. Free today, free Friday is our Weather Edge tool. I'll go ahead and drop it in chat once more. This is part of our premium product. If you want this every single day, including everything else, all the other bells, whistles, all the other sports, football, baseball, basketball, hockey, soccer, WNBA, everything but NASCAR. NASCAR is a la carte. If you want to commit to 6 months, you get $250 off the regular price. Do check out the links in the description. If you just want 1 month, just 1 month, you can get $40 off. If you want 3 days, you want to taste, 3 days is $19.95. Check out the links in the description. And as you're checking out the links, the like button's right there. Hit that like button. Also subscribe so you know when they go live. Speaking of subscribing, I believe today we should get a new show today from Kyle and Jamino. I'm not sure if it's dropped just yet, but I believe every single Friday we get the Best Ball Show. Not sure if you've checked that out just yet. Of course, the Spike Week product as well. Well, there you go. So, is there a new one today, or maybe you caught the one?
I didn't
week?
see it.
Watch.
I didn't see it. Yeah, I didn't see it, and I almost messaged Devin. I was so desperate for it.
What?
So
you might have a best ball problem, sir.
I might have a best ball problem. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're, I was thinking about things. The All-Star break's coming up. There's no baseball on like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I guess there's the All-Star game, but you're going to be hitting some more best balls. I'll probably see you in the best ball streets because I'll be right there. I'll be right there with you. Send me a message if you want a fish in your contest. We'll join at the same time.
All right, I will.
Devin is telling us he is posting it shortly. Yeah, they do a good job as far as ADP stuff, and that'll probably get spicier as like training camps and more information comes in. Now a lot of it is speculation and this quote here and that quote there. And every single week they also have like a different topic to focus on. Kyle Murray, Chris Jamino, both really, really sharp and worth listening to. Comes out every Friday. And I guess the new Stonk Watch is coming in shortly. Shane in chat, by the way, is telling us that Ragans is not the best option tonight. Who is it? If it's not Ragans, who is it? Tell us who it is. Because certainly we could be wrong in a 1-game sample, but we both feel pretty strongly that Ragans is the guy. Okay, moving on. Our next game is Pittsburgh, Chicago, knocked that one out. Washington and Milwaukee. Washington barely a 3 total, taking on Milwaukee. Milwaukee's got a team total above 5. They're facing Jackson Rutledge, 2 last names, no K pitches. Certainly one of the more vulnerable pitchers taking the bump tonight. And Frederick Peralta, one of the better ones. So it does make a lot of sense. Milwaukee, massive favorite, minus 272. Where do we have the Nats and the Brewers?
The Nats can go right in race peel off. Very, very, very low team total. I think they're going to struggle in this matchup. Milwaukee. You said we got that lineup, Dean?
Yeah.
Oh, we did.
Yeah,
okay.
Hit the refresh on it.
The refresh. Yeah, I got it. Yeah. So, yeah, pretty decent spot here for Milwaukee. No ownership going to them either. So I think you got to put them in green beans.
Milwaukee is one of my favorites stacks on the board. I thought you might go to baked as well. Just pretty well positioned. If you're telling me they're not going to be owned, I don't look at like hitter ownership. A lot of it just a gauge in my head. Sometimes I look at specific stuff or specific teams and all that, but a lot of times I don't care. Just, you know what I mean? Like I think that is a little bit over emphasized. More so pitching, I think is more of a worth the conversation. But hitting, it's just there are specific circumstances. But you're telling me Milwaukee's not going to be played?
It looks like Yankees, looks like Miami, Cincinnati. Some going to the Royals also. The top half of the Mets lineup is pretty popular. But Milwaukee's really not showing up much ownership at all. Yelich is 3%. Yeah.
Yelich is an awesome play tonight.
Yeah.
I like him a good bit. Just he's pricey and it makes sense, right? It's tough to get there because it's not that much more for Aaron Judge. Contreras is hard to get to. I think both Contrerases are in play tonight. We'll talk about the other one in a second. But he's 8%. Adames at that premium position, shortstop. Love him a good. I think he's awesome. Great power. 6%. The rest there's some pinch hit stuff in Milwaukee that kind of annoys me. Turang leading off is a little bit pricey. I wish he had more pop in his bat, but he can also steal 2 or 3 bases so he can get there in different ways. And if he's on, he's going to get a couple runs also. Okay, Washington, I'm curious. C.J. Abrams probably not owned at all. Yeah, Abrams 1.5%. I mean, that's what you get on these big slates and tough matchups. But, it's not hard to get over the field if you're running 150. And there's also a little bit of leverage there, too, if that's your thing. I wouldn't completely cross out Washington. You put him in the gutter, though, right? I believe you did.
I did, yeah.
That's fine, I guess. You have Milwaukee and green beans. Yeah, if you would have thrown them in there and baked beans, I would have been fine with that, too. Producer Steve he's telling us to move on and talk about St. Louis and the Cubs. Rivalry here for sure. It's hot in St. Louis. We kind of hinted that earlier. Weather Edge is telling us, although I don't think it was a big difference in the previous games that were played in a pretty big sample. Kyle Hendricks does not miss any bats. I'm kind of interested in St. Louis today, which is a sentence I'm never comfortable saying. I wish Nolan Gorman was hitting higher. Like Nolan Gorman in the 8-hole in his power.
It's such a weird lineup how they do
isn't
this
it?
lineup. It is.
Like if they flipped it, would it look completely bonkers if they just flipped it? I guess Ciani shouldn't be leading off, but it's just somebody like Newt Barr was lit off before. He's batting 7th. Goldie and Arenado are just kind of having rough seasons and they're #old. Mr. Great.
And didn't Contreras used to catch for Hendricks, right?
Oh, is that the old? Do you believe in that? Is that one of the things? Like he knows he knows he throws nonsense, right? He used to call his pitches. So
yeah. I kind of believe in that
revenge game. Yeah. So I think St. Louis is the interesting team here as opposed to Chicago. But you tell me, where do you have Chicago and St. Louis?
I definitely don't have any interest in Chicago. They can go in potato salad for me. They're pretty close to rice pilaf. St. Louis, I don't know. It's such a weird lineup, and Hendricks just always gets away with being trash. But they're kind of in between green beans and pasta salad for me. They're definitely parts of this Cardinals lineup that I think is very, very solid. So I guess I'll put them in pasta salad because I like the teams in green beans way more than this team. So
producer Devin in the chat saying the disgusted way Dean talks about people growing old cracks me up. I am an ageist. I am. So when it comes to rostering players in DFS, I am. Although you said that Hendricks has been getting away with it, not really this year. He's got a 7.53 ERA in 63 innings, which is horrendous. Like you got to. That's grounds we're getting kicked out of the league. 1.85 homers per 9, 19% homer to fly ball, so a little bit unlucky. The left on base at 57%. Of course, that's unlucky too. So the Sierra is 4.47, but he's still bad and he's not striking people out. He had that one game. I can't remember who was against where he struck out 8 or 9, and that's probably the last time it's ever going to happen in his career. It happened a few starts ago, and it was baffling. But I don't think it happens tonight.
Looks like it was San Francisco.
Is that what it was? Yeah. I remember
San Francisco, 5.2 innings pitched and 8 strikeouts, 1 walk, 1 hit, 2 hits. That was
and the rest of his game log. 1K, 3, 4, 1, 0, 3, 1, 1.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Basically, as many strikeouts in that one game as he did in the previous or whatever surrounding 6 or 7 games. Okay, 5-ish minutes or so until crunch time comes in. Tim, you got taters for the people? We have enough lights for taters? You got one on layaway?
Dean, this is a 2-person show. I'm talking to the chat here. I'm talking to you. Not yet, but I'll work on it. All right. Give me a second.
I told you, I said you got to up your usage. You got to step up. This is how this goes on a 2-person show. You knew what you're getting into. You bought the ticket.
I did.
All right.
I did.
Let's move on and talk about let's see. Oh, we got to go fast here, right? We got 4 games left. Seattle Angels, Tyler Anderson taking on the returning Brian Wu. 8.5 is our total. Seattle is the favorite. Where do you have the Mariners and the Angels?
I think the Angels can pretty easily go into potato salad. And then the Mariners, the top half of that lineup showing some ownership, which I don't love. I guess they got to go right into pasta salad for me.
Yeah, I think they're interesting. Who was it that broke the slate open last night? Somebody doubled on for Seattle yesterday? Can't remember who it was. Was it Mitch Garver?
Didn't Crawford go for like 30?
That might have been who it was. They really beat up our 4K pitcher. He did not stand a chance. Did not. Was it Kyle Raleigh who banged out 2 homers last night? Yeah, well, big dumper.
Raleigh had a huge game 2 nights ago.
Is he like 4 homers in his last like 2 or 3 games or something like that? He's been going nuts, right? He's dumping on everybody these days. I think he's certainly interesting tonight as well. Yeah, 2 homers against the Angels, 2 homers against San Diego. We don't have an official lineup just yet, but I assume he'll be in it. Garver, both the catchers are pretty interesting on the Seattle side. But let's move on and finish the slate here. And crunch time coming in about 5 minutes or so. Atlanta, San Diego. I did mess up the pitchers as far as I thought Atlanta was facing Arizona. That's why somebody said that earlier. My bad. I screwed that up. I was talking about Schwellenbach benefiting from Arizona's funky lineup. Not so much. Maybe Rodriguez will take advantage of that. Where do you have the Padres and the Braves?
This is a pretty tough game. Don't have huge interest in San Diego, but they're a pretty solid lineup. I don't think Schwellenbach's a horrible pitcher either. So Padres and pasta salad for me. I think both these teams are pasta salad. I don't really have much belief in Vasquez, but this Atlanta team seems to be really struggling. So don't really like them tonight that much. So both of these teams right in the middle.
Yeah, Atlanta turns out they're really missing Acuna and Harris in that lineup, and Kelnick leading off is like, not quite doing it. Although he's an interesting piece. And of course you can always play Olsen, who I think is really, really cheap on FanDuel still. Ozuna, if you want to spend up, by all means, go for it. But let's talk about Toronto and Arizona. No Toronto lineup just yet. I think a couple of their guys are questionable. I think Varsho is one of them. So maybe we'll get the lineup a little bit later. We shall see. We talked about Arizona. No Marte, no Gurriel. So it is weakened. Arizona is still favored, minus 130, 4.7 total against Y-Rod. Where do you have the Blue Jays and the D-backs?
I was pretty high on Toronto earlier in the day, and then I really started looking at the slate as a whole, and they kind of fell a little bit. I think Toronto can be pasta salad. Like Ryan Nelson, he's a garbage pitcher, but the Blue Jays only have a 4.3 total, which is not it's not amazing on the slate. So, and the top half of that lineup is going to be pretty popular. So, with all that considered, I'll put Toronto on pasta salad. Arizona, Corbin Carroll's getting 13% ownership, which I don't love. I think it's a pretty decent spot for them, though. So I don't know. Do you think? I think they're pasta salad also.
I think the lineup puts them down to potato salad. I think.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna argue with you.
Yeah,
I'm not prioritizing either. But Christian Walker to break slates, sure, but to me, it's more like maybe like a 3-man as opposed to a 5-man before. That's probably where I'm at. But yeah, wherever you want to put him. Steve's got him a potato salad. Let's go ahead and talk about the last game, the hammer game, if you will. It is San Francisco's own. The prodigal son returns. Joe Ryan, born in San Fran, pitching in San Fran tonight. Minus 155 favorite, taking on Kyle Harrison. Where do you have the Twins and the Giants?
Yeah, the Giants are definitely in rice pilaf for me. There's no question about that. Love Joe Ryan tonight.
Same.
Yeah, that's pretty easy. I think the Twins are in potato salad. I don't really have much interest in either one of these offenses. It's a horrible hitter's park. The Twins barely have an over 4 total. I think there's way better stacks on the slate.
I just Googled, or not Googled, I went on Twitter and I did a Joe Ryan, friends and family. I know we were told in chat that allegedly you might have some friends and family tonight. Nothing has popped up just yet. Maybe, something from 2023 is the first thing I got, but maybe I have to limit my search on the fly. But you have to assume he's going to have some friends and family in the crowd, and he's a fly ball guy in a ballpark that suppresses fly balls. And, I feel pretty good about Joe Ryan. He's probably my second favorite pitcher behind Cole Ragans. Crunch time is in the bullpen. They're ready to come in. But before we do that, Tim, we were talking about sides before, and somebody mentioned, what about taters? No taters. Somebody
I know.
did say that.
Unbelievable.
And, like,
unbelievable.
do we at least have some taters as far as like homers? I gave you some time. I gave you a heads up, a proper 5 minutes. Did you come up with something? Who's going to go yard? Who's banging one out tonight?
What if I forgot? No, I got Jesus Sanchez.
Okay.
Plus 350 on FanDuel. I've got Will Benson plus 480 on FanDuel.
Butto says my mom's potato salad is in God tier. Like, there's only so much you can do with potato salad. Like, even like an upper tier, the best potato salad in the world still is like maybe tier 3. Potato salad sucks. Is the bottom line. Is the point I'm trying to make. Maybe crunch time feels otherwise. I don't know. Let's see what Taylor and TJ and Roth have to say about that. Let's bring in crunch time right now. Do we have any potato salad stands? I was just taking shots at potato salad. I think it's gross. That was our point, by the way, Kevin. Welcome to the show. Any hot takes as far as, I don't know if you couldn't piece together what our topic was. It was barbecue at the bottom, but that's only because Bobby insists rice pilaf it's a barbecue side item.
Could someone explain to me like what a rice pilaf is? I've never had it. I've never seen it, and I don't think I have any idea what it is other than it probably contains rice.
I can just tell you this. Many, many years ago, I worked at a couple of restaurants, and one was Bennigan's and one was Ruby Tuesdays, and one had brown rice pilaf as a side, and it was like rice with cheese on top and like maybe a couple tomatoes. Fancy rice? I don't know.
Dirty rice?
Probably a better way of describing it.
It looks like it's rice that's sauteed in like either beef or chicken broth, but it's essentially plain rice.
Okay. All right.
And they put it in like a cup and have it like fancy for you.
It's more expensive because they say pilaf.
I'm more so just confused with the affiliation for beans in this ranking. Like, why are we so obsessed with beans?
Are you anti-bean?
I'm not anti-bean, but I mean, if I'm already
you sound pretty anti-bean.
If I'm already eating a bunch of
aggressive.
barbecued things, like I'm having some wings, I'm having some burgers, I don't need brown beans in addition to that.
What side do you want? If you're at the barbecue, what's besides rice pilaf? What side would you prefer?
I would over brown beans. I'm not a big potato salad guy, but I definitely prefer that. But we live in a day and age of the air fryer. I want some actual fries with my barbecued food.
I would say macaroni and cheese.
Mac and cheese.
I missed the
Mac
list.
and cheese, yeah, way above those two.
That's all on Tim.
Corn. That is a great one. Like a nice corn on the cob.
Cream
or
corn.
Even, doesn't even
corn
have to be on the cob, but like
It doesn't
corn
have
for
to be
sure.
creamed either.
Doubling
Taylor,
up
you
on
have thoughts on
beans.
this?
Yeah, I agree on the mac and cheese. I agree on the corn. I think 2 categories were beans, which seems overrepresented to me. I don't think we need double bean in the power rankings. But
There was also 2 salads, to be fair.
yeah, that's too much
Was
salad.
there was no Caesar salad? I'd like a nice Caesar salad as a side.
I feel like green beans don't really count as beans.
Yeah, that's kind of fringe bean. That's like it's more of a traditional veggie than.
Yeah, it's more a veggie than a bean.
Still just
Cornbread.
like
Cornbread is a side.
Beans
Mr. Grapefruit brought up.
beans or
cornbread.
Tim's.
This was Tim's list.
Yeah.
Throwing him right under the bus.
Yeah.
Tim
do
likes
better,
bean.
Tim.
Tim was a bean guy.
Do better, Tim.
I
likes
was
beans.
pressured into making this list. I was under.
All right. He didn't want.
I mean,
it.
it's true.
You were not pressured. I just threw it out as a suggestion and you pounced. You gave me the list like 2 minutes later. So I don't know what.
If I don't, then you start yelling at everybody in the chat. So
yes.
I just do it.
I do it in all caps.
You.
I type in all caps.
Yeah.
Roth. Otherwise, how was your Friday? We got a little bit of a vacation. I guess you have a little bit of a vacation, right? You're no baseball. I'm sure you're gonna be bummed. You can't do any baseball forecast for several days. The weekend, I guess you still have, but yeah.
Sorry, that's yeah, man. I'm so pumped. I'm just very much looking forward to the All-Star break. I will forecast for the All-Star game. I will forecast for Home Run Derby and all that. But man, I'm pumped. And yeah, Tim really just sliding out after those bean takes.
Maybe Tim will do better in the second half.
I stand by my takes.
Fair enough. Tim, you got anything else for the people before we step aside and get out of here and make way for crunch time? It is a big boy slate. It is 12 gamer. So lots. Oh, by the way, Roth, I'm sure you know, the people know I've reminded several times, so if they're not aware, your fabulous Weather Edge tool is free. It is free for the people. I've dropped it in chat several times. Something you get with the premium product, amongst other things. But by all means, have at it. Look at it. It's definitely very useful. A lot of people use it for, we use it for DFS, but also for like totals and sports gambling as well. But yeah, do want to make the people that are just joining right now for Crunch Time aware that tool is free. With that said, Tim, myself, yourself, we're going to see ourselves out. Crunch Time is starting right now with Kevin Roth, Taylor Smith, TJ's Warch. Roth, take it away.
Good stuff. Welcome to it, ladies and gents. You know the drill. It is Crunch Time. Two of the sharpest minds in the biz is going to take you up to lock. We might take you through lock. We'll talk some weather, some pitching, some stacks, position by position, some home run calls, and I'll take your questions. All of that in the next 43 minutes or so. That's a pretty good deal, and the cost is free $99. All that we ask is you hit the thumbs up for us. Someone, and I'm trying to find the comment, said, Roth, only a true whitey wouldn't know what a rice pilaf is. But the name who called me that was like Sven Gunderson. Sven, like that's the whiteiest white name I've ever heard calling me out. But you're right. There it is. Only a real whitey wouldn't know what rice pilaf is. That may be true. I do not know what it is. I may, yeah. All right, busted. Dean popped the Weather Edge in the chat. Make sure you check it out. It's really, really cool. If you don't know what it does, essentially, it pulls all of the weather data from all of the games in one ballpark, and it pulls all the similar weather games to what we're seeing today. And it says if we've seen an increase in home runs and runs, a decrease, and it compares it to all other games in that ballpark. So some tools out there will tell you Coors is a good spot for hitting. Well, of course, Coors is always a good spot for hitting, but this will dive into how is it in that spot compared to what that spot is on average. That's pretty cool. I think it's a very, very awesome tool. I built it myself. I'm very proud of it. So I highly recommend you check it out. With that, we got to talk about real weather. I lowered the risk in Philly, which I know is not on the slate, but also in Baltimore and in New York. And then I immediately thought, like, what am I doing? Why did I do that? And I reintroduced the risk. I have them all now as yellow, orange in all those East Coast games. I still think they're going to just play through showers in all of those East Coast games. Boston is fine. That's not kind of on the list. I think all of those games are going to play. But could I see a scenario where it's raining at first pitch and like, oh, we're going to late start it, and then they just never play it because it's light drizzle that they would have otherwise played through? Yes, I could see that happening. I still think the games are going to play. I think even if they late start, the games are still probably going to play. But if you want the safe games, you can cross off Baltimore and New York off the list. I do not think they're fully safe. I do think that they will play. That's it. That's what I've got. Does that work for you guys?
Absolutely.
Okay. And we'll see what's up. I'll look at radar as we get a little bit closer, and we'll see if we get any news about, players warming up, tarps on the field, tarps off the field, that sort of thing. But that's my current take. It's not the safe play, but I do think they're going to play. With that, I want to hear about this slate. TJ, you want to walk me through what's up? What's the plan? What's the deal? Where are we going with pitchers?
Yeah, let's do it. I will say, if the people want our home run picks after we go position by position, they want some Spidey bombs, they're definitely going to have to get these likes way up here. We're only at 100, and there's 600 people watching on YouTube. So let's get these up there. You want a couple home run picks? You want one or two? Get us up to 150. You want a lot of home run picks, 3, 4 each from each of us? I'm promising a lot, Taylor, but you better deliver. You want a lot? Then you need 200 likes. So let's get these likes way up here. In terms of today's slate, we got a lot of really good pitching. And I'm typically a guy who likes to mess around with the cheap stuff and take shots on a bunch of really uncomfortable, ugly guys. Not doing that today. I'm not playing a single pitcher under 8.2K on DraftKings today. The expensive guys I'm kind of getting rid of. Sonny Gray, Brian Wu, tossing them right out. Options that are nice and cheap include Andrew Heaney, Carson Spires. Heck, that's somebody. There's something on Yahoo. Actually, no, this is Yahoo specific, so never mind. I don't want to say anything bad about that because I haven't looked at Yahoo. But there's some cheap guys who are projecting well. Maybe some guys with tags. I'm not playing any of them. I'm just sticking with the guys 8.2K and above. My whole pool is Hunter Brown, Cole Ragans, Sean Manaea. I actually have some Garrett Cole just in case. Freddie Peralta, Joe Ryan, and Garrett Crochet. There was rumors from earlier in the week that Garrett Crochet, this is his last start before the All-Star break, so he may not be getting a full pitch count today. We don't know for sure what that means, but that's the quote on him, and so that has bumped his pitch count down. As you can see in the RotoGrinders projections, it's only at 70, so that turns him into just a tournament option for hey, sometimes coaches lie. Sometimes he could get 8 or 9, 10 strikeouts in only 75 pitches anyways. My priorities today, the kind of cash game lock, and the SP1 is Cole Ragans. I guess he's maybe more priced like an SP2, but that's why he's the guy that we all want to play. 8,500 going up against Boston. Boston strikes out a ton against left-handed pitching. Number 2 on my list today is Joe Ryan on DraftKings. That would be my preferred cash game pairing, Joe Ryan and Cole Ragans. Projections kind of say maybe you could go Sean Manaea and Cole Ragans. Manaea is in one of those places, New York, that you talked about, like maybe a little rain risk, even though it probably wouldn't happen in a mid-game delay. But that's something you could maybe throw as a negative on him. I just don't really trust 30+% owned on a 12-game slate, Sean Manaea. So while he's in my pool, I'll be underweight, and I would actually prefer in single entry cash game settings pairing Joe Ryan with Cole Ragans instead of Manaea. And then Freddie Peralta, another great option as well. He's going to pick up some ownership, but he's great. That's like just tons of great pitching on the slate today. The cheapest option I'm going to is Hunter Brown. I like him a lot. I do need a cheap pitcher since I'm going underweight on Manaea. And I'm going overweight on Hunter Brown instead, basically just swapping the two of their ownerships.
Okay, very good. Taylor, I want to bring you in and discuss your thoughts here, your overall game plan as you look at pitchers for both cash and GPPs.
Yeah, so it's hard to disagree. Like the top tier is really good today. I don't think you're wrong to play Ryan, Peralta. Even Sonny Gray, I think, is playable. He's overpriced, but the spot's okay. Decent enough for run prevention. Should see lower ownership than some of the other ones.
Hello. Am I here? Am I back?
Mm-hmm.
Hello.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that was great. Everybody froze, and I thought y'all froze, but it was me. Okay, I guess I'm back. That was weird. Sorry, I don't know where we were. That freaked me out. Everybody was frozen, and I thought it was y'all. Okay, I'm back. Continue.
Okay, so I am getting to a lot of Ragans. Obviously, I think he's just underpriced for who he is, and the matchup's really good. Even though it's Fenway, it's high strikeout lineup for Boston. He's too good for that price. I'm getting a lot of Crochet too. He's expensive. There are concerns with his potential pitch count, but I think this is his last start before the break. I'm not super concerned about it. He's facing Pittsburgh. It's a very high strikeout lineup. Not a ton of power there either. Against lefties, I think he's the top overall pitcher on the slate. I just plan on primarily pairing those two, Ragans and Crochet. Sprinkling of Manaea. The ownership on him is a little bit concerning considering who he is, but Colorado at home is about as good of a matchup as you can ask for him. And without a lot of obvious expensive offenses, like we don't have the Dodgers, we don't have the Phillies, we don't have Coors on this slate, I think paying up for pitching is perfectly fine given the number of cheap stacks you can pair them with. So not really getting different a pitcher. I'm not really diving for Randy Vasquez or even Andrew Heaney. Not a great matchup for him. I agree with TJ. I think the lowest I would go is Hunter Brown at 8.2. And beyond that, it's just kind of large field dart throws.
Okay, that's fair. Let's flip it. Let's talk about some of the stacks, some of the bats. TJ, you can lead us off in that department. If you're not getting different at pitcher, do you need to get different at bats, or are there enough viable pitchers where you can not get too crazy at pitcher and still not be too chalky?
Well, honestly, I just don't really think chalky bats exist on this slate. Like the chalkiest stack on the slate is going to be the Yankees, but there are 12 games. And there's only like 2 totals over 5, a lot bungled. A lot of those right around Dean saying no San Diego lineup yet, but reports that Xander Bogaerts is going to be back. That's interesting. I'm not playing any San Diego anyways. But no, we don't really have to worry about it just because there's not going to be that high of owned. Like if you're playing Cole Ragans, Sean Manaea, and a Yankee stack, that will be pretty chalky, but that's about it. Basically, like that is the only combination on the slate that's going to be overly owned today. There are a lot of really good stacks though that are picking up next to no ownership, like a Milwaukee. I think Cincinnati is going under owned today. I'm just rebuilding a new set of lineups right now, and I didn't save my last one like a dummy, so I don't even remember what my exact exposures are, but trying to ballpark them, Cincinnati and is among my favorites. I do really like the Yankees as well. I'm getting a decent amount of Toronto. I like, even though I'm playing Garrett Cole, I'm playing a decent amount of Baltimore against him as well. Miami, huge park upgrade going into Cincinnati, and they are really, really cheap. And Milwaukee, who I kind of started the list out. Those are my favorite sets of stacks on the slate. And now the lineup set just got built. That doesn't feel right. Toronto is my highest owned stack. I don't think I like that. Gonna have to do some adjusting here. But Miami, Cincinnati, New York, Milwaukee, and then Seattle is making their way up there as well.
Very good. Taylor, your thoughts here stack wise? Is there the chalk? I think TJ said New York. Are you concerned about that? And do you like it?
I would like it more a couple of years ago in that park where lefty power or righty power did not struggle. Like they moved the fences way back. So it's a worse park for hitting, but Cade Povich is awful. The lineup is decently affordable once you get past Judge and Soto. So I'm fine with it. I don't think it's going to be mega owned either. So I don't think you have to be too worried about it. The one team whose ownership I am a little bit concerned about is the Marlins, just because it's the Marlins and they're awful as well, but good spot. Going into Cincinnati, they're cheap. I get it. I'm playing them a lot to get expensive pitching. Love the Seattle call too. Tyler Anderson, definitely due for some regression. He hasn't really had a lot of bad starts this season, but the numbers indicate they're on the way. So I'm fine going back to them again tonight. I like Kansas City on the road. Fenway is a big park upgrade for them. Cooper Criswell is not necessarily an easy pitcher to steal on, which kind of maybe hurts Bobby Witt a little bit, but you can still make a case he is a top 2 or 3 hitter on the whole slate, so not too worried about it. Cincinnati, I like that call. I like Toronto. Arizona on the other side of that game, I think, is somewhat interesting with Ariel Rodriguez having some control issues, and then Houston power against Heaney is on my radar, and I don't mind Atlanta against Randy Vasquez, particularly the lefties for the Braves. Vasquez is just kind of a zero overall, but especially against lefties. So Atlanta as kind of a hammerish stack later in the night looks pretty good.
Okay. And then briefly before we move on and go position by position, I do want to talk about FanDuel. We talked pitchers on DK, but Taylor, I don't know if there's any significant pricing differences on FanDuel where you only get one pitcher. I feel like maybe the answer is Ragans, or maybe he's only too cheap on DK.
Yeah.
What thoughts?
He's more expensive. He's 10-2 on FanDuel, so not as
difference.
Yeah, not as necessary. Still great, of course. Like no qualms with playing him. Crochet is 11K, so no discount there either. I think Manai is perfectly playable at 8.8. Freddie Peralta, we didn't really mention him, but I like him a decent amount against Washington. He's 9.5, I think, on FanDuel. Not a bad value compared to the other aces. And then Joe Ryan, similar to Peralta, they project comparably on both sides, but I think he's pretty interesting.
If I'm playing a 3-entry max today, it's those last 3 that Taylor just mentioned, Ragans, Ryan, Peralta. And in cash, I'm probably playing Peralta at 9,500.
Nice. Okay. Very good. Let's switch it over, go position by position. I want to talk about catchers. Specifically, I want to talk about one catcher. It's a man who yesterday I pointed out we had issues with his projection because it had his ceiling at like 18 points. And I said, what's going to happen when he hits 2 home runs? That man is the big freaking dumper. And I do believe he hit 2 home runs last night, right?
Indeed, he did.
Again, how freaking good is that guy? Why do I love the big dumper so much? Because of his nickname and because he's freaking awesome. Do we get to play him? Is he on the slate? Can I just lock him in, Taylor?
Yeah, he's my favorite catcher on the slate. I am getting the most of him. We've both talked about Seattle as one of the better kind of value-ish stacks on the slate, getting a nice park boost going into Anaheim. So he's topping the list for me. Sal Perez, I mentioned the Royals at Fenway. He's gotten a little cheaper of late, only 4,700 on DK. Tyler Stevenson, been red hot of late. The Reds are going to be decently popular, but he's still under 4K on DraftKings. Don't mind that one bit. Jose Trevino and a Yankee stack looks solid. You can punt. So the Marlins are cheap. We mentioned their catcher is Ollie Sanchez, only 2,100. I don't know anything about him. I assume he's not very good, but he's 2,100 in Cincinnati. So I will be playing him a bit. And I don't think we have a Toronto lineup, but I never mind Danny Jansen as a power option there.
Okay, great. TJ, your thoughts at catcher? And why am I not seeing Cal Raleigh in the catcher list? Are we not scrolled up enough? Like, where is he?
If we refresh, he should be there, or if not, it should. Oh, there he is. He's right at the bottom, just because he's projected for zero. It's sorted by ownership, and he's projected for 0.00% owned because he wasn't projected to be in the lineup, and they just released their lineup 5 minutes ago.
Okay, and I think I saw he's batting third.
Yeah.
Which
they have a catcher batting second and a catcher batting third. So if you want to stack Seattle on FanDuel today, you play Raleigh, you play Garver. Those are the guys I would want the most in my Seattle stack anyways. And that's a nice way of getting really different over there. Garver and Raleigh are my two favorites. Gabriel Moreno and Tyler Stevenson. If you need somebody a little bit cheaper, they fall right below them. Those are going to be my 4 highest owned guys today, and also the only 4 that I will be playing outside of a stack. Everybody else is in stacks only for me today. The Contreras brothers are fine. Alvarez fine. Sal Perez fine. And then Travis d'Arnaud would be the guy I'm getting to the next most with Jansen, but not necessary, I don't think.
Okay. And TJ, before we move on to first, Dean pointing out it looks like Matt Waldron is now starting for San Diego. Are we interested? Do we care? Are we going against that? What's the plan?
San Diego pitching chains have scratch baskets Friday start, and Matt Waldron is now expected to start. Yeah, that is against Atlanta. That definitely makes me like Atlanta less, but it doesn't actually make me like them a lot less because he also struggles more against lefties, and I like the lefties more anyways. From a pitching standpoint, he is priced at 8,600. Against Atlanta, I don't really think I need him anyway. So that really actually doesn't change all that much for me.
Okay. Taylor, can I bring you in? Any thoughts here with Waldron starting, whether you have interest in playing him or interest in stacking against him?
I don't have much interest in playing him just because we have Ragans for less. We have Hunter Brown for less. Manaya, I think, is the same price. So plenty of other good options in better matchups that, I don't think we need to mess with Waldron against Atlanta. But I do like Atlanta less. Like Vasquez is pretty bad. Waldron is average, maybe a little bit better than average. So Atlanta does get a downgrade for me.
Okay. Well, Londo in the chat says Waldron is going to get smashed. Braves are a great play tonight, in all caps. Trust me, guys. Which I really, all right. There you have it. If you trust Londo in the chat, then that's your play. But I'm glad that we were able to kind of catch up on that and learn that because that's interesting. Okay, now with that, we can kick it back to first base. TJ, you were about to walk us through that.
Yes, I was. Hold on, I'm just keep screwing stuff up.
Okay.
And having to rebuild my lineups over and over and over
we got
again.
25 minutes, baby. We got all night.
Yeah, exactly. We are not pressed for time at all. First base today. Highest owned guy for me is going to be Christian Walker. He may or may not be. Yeah, let's unleash the first set of Spidey bombs. Why not? Christian Walker is 1. I did say we could get 2 at 150 likes, and we're over that plateau. So Christian Walker is the first one at plus 390. And we're going to go with the double Christian and say Christian Yelich at plus 520 on FanDuel is Spidey bomb number 2. You want more of them? Let's get it up over 200 likes. Walker's my favorite. I like Candelario. I like Rhys Hoskins, Vladdy Guerrero. Matt Olson was somebody I liked a lot more before the Waldron news, but I still think he's fine. If you need to go cheaper, Josh Bell, Ben Rice, Ryan O'Hearn, all guys I really like today. Vinny P. It's a really strong position at first base today.
Okay. Our guy Butthole Jenkins in the chat says, I'm agreeing a lot with TJ today. Should I be worried? I guess he's pretty sharp.
I think that means you're probably going to win, Butthole.
Yeah, I think it's all right. I'm going to allow that. I would not be concerned. TJ, your thoughts at first base? TJ, I keep calling Taylor TJ. I'm sorry. It's the Taylor and the Taylors. Taylor, your thoughts at first base?
You want to hear, on that note, do you want to hear a really, really weird stat?
I do.
I have played 150 lineups basically every night that I've played DFS and MLB so far this year.
Yeah.
Usually would mean you're losing money, or when you win first a couple times, you're all of a sudden you get a massive bump.
Right.
I haven't won a tournament. I've 150 max this year, but I'm profitable on the season.
That is kind of amazing. You're just like, it should be like your bankroll is going.
Yeah,
like
it's like down, then you win. It's literally been just like this the whole year, despite playing 150 lineups a day.
I don't know if that means good job or if that means you got to get crazier in your build.
I don't know. That might be something I have to look and reevaluate after a year.
Right. Okay. Well, take 10% of that and just get wild with it, and maybe swing for the
That's the thing, though, is I'm usually getting wild.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Taylor, your thoughts I think we're still at first base.
Yeah, we are. Ty France is a value I don't mind in a Seattle stack. Mainly, don't think I'd play him as a one-off, but pretty cheap, hitting fifth. Josh Bell from Miami, Vinny Pasquantino in the middle of the Kansas City lineup looks pretty good. Vlad Jr., assuming he's in there, low strikeout pitcher against the Blue Jays tonight, and Ryan Nelson. So I like them a good amount. The Reds have two guys you can play here, Candelario and Steer. Candelario is the cheaper one. You can also play him at third, though. You can play Steer in the outfield. So plenty of ways to get to both of them. Yeah, like you said, Olsen gets a downgrade. He was on my radar before, maybe a little bit now, but not as heavily. But yeah, I think that probably wraps it up.
Okay, how about second base, Taylor?
Second base, decent value is Adam Frazier leading off in Fenway. Not a very good hitter, not a lot of power, but he's cheap, so it's okay. Jorge Polanco, sticking with the Mariners theme, is also cheap, hitting sixth in Anaheim. Jose Altuve, I don't mind as a one-off. He's priced up, but righty against Heaney, it's always going to look good, especially in Houston, which plays up righty power. Bryce Terang, Milwaukee, is a pretty interesting stack tonight. He's leading off for them. Play him at second base. And Jonathan India leading off for Cincinnati is probably the last one worth a shout-out.
TJ, your thoughts at second?
Yeah, my highest owned bat at second base today is going to be Gleyber Torres, batting fifth, nice and cheap, works as a nice one-off, and he's not going to be so ridiculously high owned that I'm worried about that, so I'm still getting into a ton of him. Jonathan India, Vidal Brujan I'm getting to, which doesn't feel great, but I'm getting to a decent amount of Vidal Brujan, Leo Jimenez, Lennon Sosa. If you can't tell, I'm punting this position a lot. Jamai Jones, I'm getting a lot of really cheap players at this position, as opposed to spending up for the Albies and the Terrangs.
Okay, that's fine. Take me to third base, TJ.
Another place I'm getting with a lot of cheapies. For Miami, Emmanuel Rivera, DJ LeMahieu, Noelvi Marte for Cincinnati, Justin Turner for the Blue Jays. Candelario is the most expensive player I'm getting to a lot here. And then Austin Riley, maybe my favorite spend up, but I don't like it as much against Waldron as I did before.
Okay. Taylor, your thoughts at third?
Yeah, I think Bregman is a pretty good value, another righty against Heaney in Houston. Otherwise, TJ ran it down pretty well. I think Eugenio Suarez is an okay value, kind of buried. I think he's hitting seventh for Arizona, but power's kind of come around a little bit for him lately. I don't mind the D-backs on this slate. Don't really think you're paying up for Devers, but it's always viable if you want a complete unowned one-off against Ragans, lefty-lefty. Ragans does have a reverse split, so Devers from the left side, in theory, has the advantage there.
All right. How about at the old shortstop position, Taylor?
Shortstop is pretty loaded. Bobby Witt going into Fenway looks great. Ellie De La Cruz at home always looks really good. Corey Seager against Hunter Brown. No one's going to play him among the expensive options. JP Crawford, if you're going a little bit cheaper, 4,300 leading off for Seattle, looks solid. Xavier Edwards is hitting second for Miami. It's not ideal, given the opportunity cost at shortstop, but cheap hitting second, good stack tonight in Cincinnati. Willie Adames for Milwaukee looks great. Anthony Volpe, he got moved down to 7th for New York, which is not ideal, but in a stack, I don't mind it. And then Bo Bichette, if he's in there, I think he's questionable, but he's only 3,800 on DK, and Blue Jays look decent enough tonight.
Okay. TJ, your thoughts at short?
Yeah, unfortunately, Xavier Edwards is going to be my highest owned guy, but the player I like the most is Ellie De La Cruz by far. He's my favorite tournament spend up on the slate. Another cheapie I like at the position is Geraldo Perdomo, batting 5th today for Arizona. I like him quite a bit. And then Willie Adames, I think, is a great spot. Bobby Witt Jr. always. But Gunnar Henderson is projected for 2% ownership. And wow, do I love Gunnar Henderson tonight.
I was swallowing water as I tried to move on. Take me to the outfield. TJ, what are we doing there?
Another position where more Miami Marlins are my highest owned at the position today. Jesus Sanchez and Jazz Chisholm. They're projecting really well. Ownership isn't going to be ridiculous on them. And they're underpriced. So Sanchez, Chisholm, Reese Hines is a cheapie. Trying to get to spend ups for Aaron Judge and Christian Yelich as much as I possibly can. Those are my favorite spend ups on the slate. What are we at for likes here? Have we reached 200 yet? 181. Come on, I'm going to skip this Spidey Bomb in the outfield until we get up to 200. Then I got some more for you. But I also like Brendan Donovan, Spencer Steer, George Springer, Jock Peterson, Jared Kelly, and and I like Luis Robert as well. But then two other outfielders who are Spidey Bombs as well.
Okay, we will hold that thought. We're less than 20 likes away from getting 2 more Spidey Bombs from TJ. And, of course, we're going to get some home run picks from Taylor as well. But first, Taylor, tell me what we're doing in the outfield. It's fun. You can spend up. You can save money. You can do what you want in the outfield.
Yeah, the Marlins are going to be, it looks like, my highest owned outfilders, which is always fun.
Why? Everybody's on the Marlins? Is that okay? Are you?
They're going from Miami to Cincinnati, so big park upgrade.
Okay.
They're facing not very good pitcher, and they're cheap.
Okay, that's fair. Taylor,
but you're right. That's exactly how it feels.
Yeah, it does not feel good on a 12-game slate, but the nature of the slate, I think Brian De La Cruz, another good one. He's right-handed, but still cheap. He's only 3,300, hitting 3rd, so no issues with that. I like Kansas City, so Melendez. You can play Frazier in the outfield, so that's thrilling. Hunter Renfroe hitting 6th, pretty good power bat. Going into way there. Mitch Haniger and Julio Rodriguez in your Seattle stacks. Julio gets a big park boost, always a threat to steal bases. And, of course, the Yankees look great. Downgraded the Braves, but I still think Duvall as a one-off is okay. And Corbin Carroll for waiting to play, considering how bad he's been, but prices come down, still has speed upside, and I like Arizona a decent amount tonight.
Okay, good stuff. Guys, we are roughly 15 minutes, I do believe, until lock. And that means we've got time for some home run calls and hopefully for some Spidey Bombs. TJ, what's the likeage at?
Hold on just 1 second. If you don't mind, get Taylor's first, just because I'm uploading my set of lineups, and I'll be good.
Sounds good. Taylor, you got a few home runs for me. It can be elite dudes all the way down to some trash guys who might hit a bomb at 2% ownership.
Yeah, so elite. I'll just call Jazz Chisholm elite for the slate, not necessarily in general, but I'll go with him. I mentioned Adam Duvall, although I don't think this is updated for the new pitching change, so scratch that one. I'll go Mitch Garver. Like Cal Raleigh's more likely to do it, but I like Garver as well. The same matchup.
I bet on him too.
And then a little further down, let's go Nolan Gorman. We didn't mention St. Louis, but they're facing Kyle Hendricks, one of the weaker pitchers on the slate. So Gorman from the left side looks pretty terrific.
Okay, and I know we have 200 likes because I pulled up the YouTube and it showed 199, and I got to hit that little thumbs up to get it to 200. It felt good. If you haven't done it so far, I recommend it. It's kind of cathartic. It makes you feel good when you do it. TJ, we've got 200 likes. I want the Spideys.
First 2 Spidey Bombs were the Christians, Christian Yelich, Christian Walker. We're sticking in the outfield to go to a couple more. St. Louis, like Taylor just talked about, I got Alec Burleson as a Spidey Bomb. I have Brandon Nimmo in the outfield as a Spidey Bomb. Shout out to Steve. hanging out in the background, his Mets. Brandon Nimmo is going to be knocking one out of the park tonight. And why not a fifth one just for fun because he's over plus 500 and it doesn't make sense. Gunnar Henderson.
Gunnar at plus 500. Someone earlier said Gunnar's cold. That's what we like. You get a cold hitter who's a really super talented dude coming in at low ownership because he's cold. Pff, let him hit a bomb. I approve. What do we got here? I think we've got time to do some QQs. Let me give you a quick weather update here. This applies to all East Coast games outside of Boston, which is just essentially fine. New York, Philly, which I know is playing, and Baltimore. I just stand by. I think they're all going to play. I think they're all going to play through some light rain. I won't fully rule out some trouble, but I don't see any immediate trouble, and I think they're all going to play. So that is where I stand fairly confidently that is going to be the outcome in those games. We'll go to our favorite stack, and we can both answer this from Jay. He says, your favorite FanDuel single entry stack. TJ, you can go first. Don't say Miami. Don't do it.
Cincinnati.
Okay. Someone else said Cincinnati actually as well in the chat, so that makes them feel good. Taylor, your favorite stack?
I will take Seattle. We're not allowed to take the Marlins.
Okay, you can, but ugh.
I'll still take Seattle anyway.
Okay, CLT Go Blue says, Taylor, am I stupid for playing Yariel Rodriguez at SP2 on DK? No Ketel Marte for the D-backs. Looks like a really crummy lineup. He wants some Yariel Rodriguez.
I am not playing him myself, but I don't think it's stupid just because, kind of lacking cheap pitching and he's not terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if it's a large field, you can do it. I wouldn't do it in single entry or small field though.
Okay. Jay says, do you see ownership on the Yankees dropping based on weather?
No.
Don't. Are they even in New York? No. Where are the Yankees?
Baltimore.
They're in okay. I was going to say, I know it's the Mets that are in New York. No. If they late start and if they announce it now, maybe you drop like 2 or 3%, but no, like nobody's fading them, I think, based on the weather. FanDuel Cash, TJ, 3,400 left. You want a Jazz one-off?
Yeah.
Or pair Nimmo with Lindor. These are all Spidey bombs.
Oh, you go Nimmo.
Yeah.
If you got Lindor in there, get that little correlation.
Okay. Amateur Hour, Taylor, DK GPP. Do you prefer righties or lefties in a KC stack? Like, am I playing Massey or Garcia at second?
I think I prefer the righties just because the park favors the righties at Fenway. I think, what was it, Garcia or Massey?
It was, yeah.
I mean, I think it's Garcia if you can afford him, but I don't mind either of them.
Okay. We'll go to JT Money's question. 3 different lineups, 3 different stacks, FanDuel GPP. I think we have to go Cincy and and Seattle for 1 and 2. And then you both have to Milwaukee. Are you going to fight him on that, Taylor?
No, I think that's fine.
Okay. There you go. Cincy, Seattle, and Milwaukee. Jumping into the YouTube, if you haven't hit the thumbs up, please do. Let me get some QQs out of here. See what we got here. DK single entry Taylor, Crochet and Lennon Sosa, or Ryan and LeMahieu. Is that a person?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd probably play the second one because I'm not super into Lennon Sosa, but I don't know. I think TJ mentioned Sosa, so maybe he's the one to answer that one.
Definitely the LeMahieu and Ryan one.
Okay. Very good. Hammer says, Kevin, I'm going for Chinese food tonight. What should I get? I'm a big General Tso chicken guy. I feel like it is the dish which like if you can do that great, then I will expand. If you have subpar General Tso's chicken, I ain't coming back. So that's kind of my litmus test dish for Chinese food. General Tso, that's my answer. Scroll down. I need a single entry, 600 people on DK, but he didn't say what he needs of, so we'll pass on that. Let's see. Oh, Taylor, DK cash pitchers. Colin wants to know your favorite cash pitchers. You're telling me a shrimp fried this rice? That's good. That's good. I like that.
Ragans, undoubtedly. And then after that, I would play Crochet. but I don't think you're crazy if you play Peralta, Ryan, even Manaya. I think is fine if you're not concerned about the weather in New York.
Okay, great. Eric Johnson says, TJ, Jeff McNeil to homer plus 660. Interested?
No, that's a terrible odds for Jeff McNeil. He should be plus 1,600.
Oh, shit. That was rude to Jeff. That was absolute devastation to our guy.
Steve, am I wrong? Steve's not ready to pop in.
No, it's okay.
What was the question? Sorry.
It was
I said Jeff McNeil.
Oh, I told Eric no. Jeff McNeil is not a good homer pick. I mean, the odds aren't. I feel like the odds should be better.
Yeah, that's why I said they should be plus 1,600.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. We're all in agreement.
Hey, we just got. So I was looking at the pitch count for Crochet. The bat has him at 70. There's a tweet from a beat that says Pedro Grifol says it will be a shorter start for Crochet tonight, with Cannon likely behind him out of the bullpen. He's scheduled to start the 5th game after the break. So they lowered him to 70 pitches. So that's going to knock him down quite a bit. I certainly wouldn't play him in cash now at that price.
I mean, you shouldn't play him in tournaments.
No, I don't think you should either. He's too expensive.
Now he doesn't have the upside. It's 70.
Yeah.
If he's limited to 70 pitches.
For what,
So
that is
Crochet
what the
is at-
RotoGrinders projection has had him at since we started.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, that was
They were all on
306,
that
but I
one.
just now saw it. So
Oh, all right. Let's see what else we've got. Jeffrey says, "Hey, I'm late. Do you like a Yankee stack in single entry DK?" Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. Ain't nothing wrong with that. What do we got?
Just note that will be likely the chalkiest stack on the slate.
Mystery Relevant says, "Hey, the amazing tool, which is free today, Weather Edge, is not showing love to the Reds Marlins game. Should I be concerned that I stacked the Reds?" Great question. I'm glad you asked. Keep in mind that Cincinnati is a great home run park. Correct, guys?
Yep.
Yes.
That's fair. What Weather Edge does is it shows you that park, today's weather compared to all other weather games. And it's basically showing it's a neutral weather game in Cincinnati. So it is a neutral weather game in a great home run hitting park, which means it's a great spot to be. It would be better if winds were blowing out at 10 miles per hour and it was 95 degrees, but it's not. That doesn't make it bad. It's a neutral game. It's just as good as any other game in Cincinnati. It is not something you should be concerned about.
Well, and there's no wind, but it's still 90 degrees.
Yeah,
so
it's
even
still
though
warm.
you compare it to a normal Cincinnati day, it's like it's not out of the ordinary, but it's the hottest game on the slate.
Yeah, right. I mean, in general, I think it's pretty good hitting weather. I guess historically, the stats show hasn't been a big up or down, but it's
because Cincinnati's probably like 2 to Coors in terms of the places you want to target for hitting. I like Carty could correct me on that if I'm wrong, but as far as I know, I think it's number 2. So it's kind of one of those ones that regardless of what it says, it's always good. And if there's a bump, that means it's
great.
Further than the best.
Yeah. Dean says those Crochet pops are off the board at his book, but potentially not everywhere. Maybe an opportunity for some unders. You can go ahead, check out your favorite sports books and see if you can make that happen. Where are we at here? We've got about 5 minutes until lock. More questions coming in. DK single entry. Razzle Dazzle says TJ Rice in a Yankee stack or Vinny Pete. As we were talking about Chinese food, I vote Rice, but I will let you have the answer, TJ.
Yeah, if you're stacking the Yankees, I'd go Rice.
Yeah. On the DK books. Oh, okay. Taylor, on the DK books where you can add plus 200 of juice to any guy to homer tonight, who you got? Which I think makes that question, who is most likely to homer, essentially.
Yeah, so it'd be Judge then. I think that's who you'd want to take.
Yeah.
Going out on a limb there.
Yeah. Taylor, FanDuel single entry, Ryan with a Cincy main stack or Manaya with a Milwaukee stack?
I prefer the Ryan and Cincinnati combo.
Great. FanDuel GPPs, TJ, Luke Cage is making your work. Favorite util, 3,100 and under.
Hit Taylor up with one, and then I'll have an answer for you.
Sure. Taylor, DK cash with Crochet gone. Are you okay with the cash pairing of Manaya?
Yeah, Manine and Ragans, that's fine.
Okay, great.
Favorite util 3,100 or below is Heimer Candelario.
Ooh, nice little Heimer call. I approve.
Or you can go Cal Raleigh at 3K, Roth.
Yeah, wait, what are we doing? It's always the big dumper. He's going yard twice tonight. I feel like that is a given. Doug says, do we think the Baltimore-New York game plays? I do. Yeah, I do. Not going to promise it, but I expect it plays. Is a Chicago White Sox stat crazy in single entry, TJ? Is that crazy?
No. Single entry, it's not. I don't love it, but I don't think it's crazy.
Okay. Poker says Burleson or Hines on FanDuel, Taylor. Burleson or Hines?
Probably Burleson. I think Hines is buried a little bit in the order, but yeah, Burleson sounds a bit better.
Okay. Taylor, JD Martinez or Pete Alonso? That's the way Grant says his name every time he doesn't know.
I'll go Pete.
And you know who's next? Pete Alonso, plus 350. Is Mitch Garver going yard? Oh, no, he just says it's Mitch Garver going yard. It's Mitch Garver going yard today. Andrew,
I agree.
Yeah, Andrew's got the inside scoop on that, and TJ agrees. FanDuel single entry 2v2. We got about a minute until lock. FanDuel single entry, TJ. Lindor, Nimmo, or Yordan and J-Rod?
Lindor, Nimmo.
Okay. I feel like we haven't talked much about Yordan and J-Rod, and those are two really good dudes.
Yeah, J-Rod's been struggling on the season, but Alvarez is a very good tournament play. He wasn't expected to be in the lineup, and it's lefty-lefty, so he'll be virtually unknown today.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess I do recall J-Rod having a bad year, which is I just thought he was going to be good forever. He just seemed like he was not going to ever have a bad year, but it's happened. And here we go. Nimmo, Lindor, Taylor. Nimmo, Lindor, or Adames Yelich?
Brewer combo, I think.
Okay.
My betting website literally just this last second gave me a $50 free bet, and so I put it on Gunnar Henderson to hit a home run.
Love that. I approve. Hey, is Ryan a good pivot from Crochet ownership, TJ?
Yeah, I don't think Crochet is going to be highly owned, but I like Ryan better straight up.
I think he meant, in fact, I read it wrong. He meant from his Crochet ownership that he has.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. CLT Go Blue says, Roth, is this an MLB player or a character from Shawshank Redemption that hangs himself immediately after getting out of prison? Brooks Lee. Is Brooks Lee an MLB player or a character from Shawshank Redemption who hangs himself immediately after getting out of prison? I have never heard of a Brooks Lee, so I'm going to go with that is a character from Shawshank Redemption that hangs himself immediately after getting out of prison. Is he an MLB player?
Yeah,
yes, he plays for the Twins.
Damn it. All right. You got me on that one. Last question here. We've hit the lock. Is Crochet still tournament viable, or should I fade, guys?
I would fade now. Yeah.
Okay. With that,
no Bichette for the Blue Jays. No Jansen for the Blue Jays. Who's Kiermaier in for? Well, Springer. No Bichette or Jansen. No, Springer's in there.
Okay. We've hit the lock. We've done the things. We got one last question, Taylor. Best pitcher, 9,700 and below on DK.
Definitely Ragans, but if you're looking to fill more salary, I would go Peralta.
No Schneider.
No Schneider. Okay. We're going to bounce on out of here. For TJ, for Taylor, for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you, and we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.